Hello everyone, welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss Limited's most competitive tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Kody, one of the co-hosts on this show, and not Kody Smith on Twitter, and we also have, as always, Matt. How are you doing today, Matt?
Not too bad. It's been a while.
Yeah, it really has.
So I think we'll have to shake off the rust a little bit tonight and just give the best show that we possibly can.
Yeah, and so we have a really cool topic to go over tonight. But before we talk about that, we're gonna do all the normal stuff that we do. Make sure to rate and review in all the podcast app stores, and tell your friends about the show. And that's a great way to support the show for 0 space bucks. And then I also want to put the pedal on supporting on Patreon again. Patreon.com/fishcastmtg is a great place that you can support us directly. And I mean, even just $2 a month, which ends up being 50 cents a show, really helps us out a lot. Plus you get access to the Discord. You get the show a few days early and ad free. So there's lots of benefits to being a patron. And we even have something coming up pretty sweet that Matt's been able to take a look at.
Very cool. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, we're really excited about this upcoming perk that we're able to provide for our patrons. So if you'd like to get in on it early, go to patreon.com/fishcastmtg. We're also affiliated with Inked Gaming and have shirts on Teespring, so you can find the links in the description for all those things, and you can support us that way as well.
So I finally got my playmat in from Inked Gaming, and it is absolutely stunning. So if you like Merfolk, I don't even care if you like our show. If you like Merfolk, you're gonna want this playmat.
Yeah, just the one with the big. There's one that doesn't have our name on it. It just has the logo, the Lord of Atlantis-ish fish. So thank you to Ishton for doing such great work on that. Actually, Ishton had a big part on this upcoming project too. So we're very fortunate to have worked with Ish on a lot of these projects. So thank you so much, Ish, for
absolutely thank you
for helping us out on that. We also have another special announcement for our twitch.tv/fishcastmtg. We have been invited by Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, to partake in the pre-release
pre-release.
It's not a pre-release. It's not the loading ready run thing, but it is the streamer event that they have where they allow certain streamers to play with the cards ahead of the release of the cards. So on Wednesday, January 16th, starting at 10 a.m. CST, so because they release 8 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, we are going to be drafting all day, playing some sealed, playing some standard, testing out some of the new cards in Arena, and just having a lot of fun. And we're going to even try and shoehorn Matt into this somehow.
Yeah. So Cody's going to be the one playing, but I'm going to be there. I'm setting aside some time in the evening, and I will be online making some color commentary and essentially being the old Muppets that just make fun of the people who are actually trying to do stuff with their lives.
Statler and Waldorf?
Yeah, I'm going to be them.
That
sounds right.
I've been wrong before.
They're Marley and Marley. Ooh.
Yeah, I was right.
Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's a great one. It is Statler and Waldorf. I was right.
I think that number raises a pertinent question. What's that? Why did they do it?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that. Anyway, so yeah, tune in then. It'll be fun. Come hang out. And remember, if you're not a subscriber on Twitch, you get those super cool Ishton emotes for the chat. So if you want to be cool and stand out in the chat with your Merfolk emotes, make sure to stop by and hit that sub button. Help support the show.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So before we get into the random Merfolk, we have a really cool topic tonight. We're going to be talking about Rivals of Ixalan draft and sealed formats, because they're kind of bringing these back as I call them flashback drafts, because I know, Matt, you know that this is something that happens on Moto a lot, where they'll go, hey, we're going to have Lorwyn on, or we're going to have Kamigawa Block or Time Spiral or something, and they'll just have it on for a week. And it'll be
that's the beauty of digital Magic, is you can just like randomly go back to a set that has been printed in 15 years and be like, here's a draft of it.
It's just it's a fun way to revisit formats. And on top of that, right now in Arena, these are cards that are still heavily played in Standard. So it's not these aren't cards that are just going to fill up your collection and just be have garbage cards piling up. Like, it'll help you get towards the vault in some cases, and it's also just kind of fun to play these formats.
No, absolutely. And one thing that's really important to think about, while Ixalan and Rivals are going to be the most recent sets that are the sets are going to rotate the quickest out of the new standard, Arena's absolutely going to give us a modern-esque type format. And I know there's been rumors that it might go back all the way to Shadows. I really hope that it really just they started at Ixalan. But either way, your cards are still going to be good, because the good decks that are in standard right now are most likely going to be the good decks initially in that eternal format, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, Wizards isn't going to leave us high and dry in that. They'll do something with the cards. There has to be some sort of non-rotating.
Your Search for Escantas, your Carnage Tyrants, your Branch Walkers, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They're still going to be good. They're just in a different format.
Yeah, so go ahead and draft, and we're going to kind of talk about some strategies. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about the random Merfolk. Now, Matt, you picked today's random Merfolk, did you not?
I did, and of course I didn't pick a Merfolk.
It was Merfolk 149, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, it was just random number off the top of my head. The thing I love most about it is I have a pretty good knowledge about obscure Magic cards. This is one I've never seen before. Doesn't mean it's good. I've just never seen it before.
It's definitely not good. It is an interesting card. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it?
No, I'll read it. It's a Rootwater Alligator. It's 1 green and 3 for a 3/2 crocodile. And it has Sacrifice a Forest, Regenerate Rootwater Alligator. It's from Exodus. So it's a very old card. It's never been printed again. It's a common, so it's not reserve list by any means. It's just that bad where Wizards is like, nah, this goes absolutely nowhere.
You know what? I'm kind of disappointed about this card. It's been errated to be a crocodile. It says alligator, and then even in the flavor text it calls it an alligator, but now it's a crocodile.
That's funny. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together on that.
Yeah, I mean, they have the picture on we use Scryfall as our search for it, but they have like the picture of the art, and then next to it they have the errata text, so like, but it's just funny. It says creature alligator. It says Rootwater Alligator, summon alligator, and then in the flavor text talks about an alligator, and then it says Rootwater Alligator, creature crocodile.
Yeah.
Good on you, Wizards. God bless you.
There's some zoologists that aren't going to be happy about that. So anyway, the reason why it is in our random Merfolk is because the flavor text, which obviously anybody who listens to the show knows that I love. So I will read. Subduing and skinning an alligator is the first rite of maturity adolescent Merfolk must pass.
Unless its controller has a forest, and then it just gets regenerated.
The only problem is they're going to get really pissed off when they think they've skinned an alligator and they find out it's a crocodile.
Yep. You fail immediately. It's like, nope, this is a crocodile. Go get me an alligator. But the other thing I think is, like, this is kind of like a very meh creature. But I'm sure that in Exodus this was like an above rate creature, right? 4 mana for a 3/2 with an ability.
I have no idea. I was playing around that time, but I was a kid, and it was like street, like playing Magic on the street at recess. So I couldn't tell you.
You play this Rootwater Alligator, and then someone Force of Wills it.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't let that 3/2 resolve.
The only thing I was thinking, like, as like a sack outlet, I'm like, is there any like deck or card that can make land sack outlets good? Because technically you can sack as many forests as you want.
Crucible Worlds.
Well, yeah, but you have to have a reason to sack them.
Zurin Orb.
Like
Zurin Orb is
okay.
You pay 0. Well, no, you have to pay. You have to pay to. Never mind. I don't know. We'll have to delve deeper into that.
No, Zurin Orb is just sacrifice. But Zurin Orb is sacrifice of land. So yeah, Zurin Orb is a better version of this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is just unplayable.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying you don't get to gain the life when you sack the land off of Rootwater Alligator. I'm sure.
Yeah, could be for zero.
Oh, root water crocodile, you are just terrible.
Yeah.
All right, so
But I do want to see a reprint of this card where it's actually an alligator
actually a
or
crocodile.
or a
Yeah.
crocodile. Yeah, actually a crocodile. I want it to be the exact same card, but it just says Rootwater Crocodile.
I'm gonna get on Twitter and be very angry about this now.
Yeah,
I'm no zoologist, but this is wrong.
exactly.
All right, so now on to our main topic. Now, Matt, I got onto Arena and did a draft or two of Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan draft. So that's 2 packs of Rivals of Ixalan and 1 pack of regular Ixalan. Were you able to get back and do any play any Magic of any sort for this?
I actually wasn't able to draft, but I've been playing a lot of Standard, and I put together the black green deck. So I've been playing some Ixalan Merfolk and a lot of Ixalan cards, obviously, just by playing the standard format that we currently have. But I did play a lot of paper drafts of Ixalan. So I have some vague memories of what was going on at the time. I think Ixalan block was the last block that I was really heavily playing in paper. So
Yeah, same here.
I actually just organized all my a lot of my bulk over the Christmas holiday. I'm like, oh my god, how do I have so many Ixalan Rival of Ixalan cards and none of the good rares? I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, it's really funny, you know, when you're actively drafting like that, how much you just pick up, like how many garbage commons you just have because oh, it's just the second to last card in the pack, and I just, you know, I just took this Headwater Sentries and
I pulled 0 Search for Azcantas, but I have 5 Boneyard Parlays.
Well, that's good. At least you're at least
at least I got so many. I got all the good mythics, right?
So one thing I do want to have as a disclaimer before we jump into this is while we will be discussing the Merfolk deck in the context of draft and sealed, we will not be. I guess it's not going to be the main topic because if you go into any draft, it doesn't matter what format you're playing. If you go, I'm going to draft X, and you're going to have a bad time. So we don't want you to go into this going, oh, I'm playing Rivals of Ixalan draft, and I'm going to draft Merfolk, and it's going to be fun. Because sometimes you'll open a pack, and guess what? There won't be a Merfolk in it. And so you have to you know, branch out as Merfolk Branch Rocker would and play other colors. And yeah,
I see what you did there.
So,
I see what you did there.
So what are the first things that you remember from Rivals of Ixalan draft?
The things I remember is if you could get into a tribe, you were going to have the upper hand. I mean, that was just the way it was. If you were lucky enough to get one of the tribes going and somebody else in your pool wasn't also trying to draft that tribe, you were usually in a lot better shape.
Yeah, being able to read your seat and kind of knowing, you know, okay, well, Pirates is drying up. Maybe I shouldn't be taking these cards because they will be a basically zero benefit. I guess kind of the flip side to that from my personal experience drafting, as well as reading some articles and all that, is that with the addition of Rivals of Ixalan, it kind of pulled back on the forcing, you know, a tribe, because like you might have like 4 or 5 pirates in your deck, but it wouldn't be a pirates deck. It would just be a red-black aggro deck, or it might be like a blue-black control deck that just happens to have some pirates and merfolk in it. So a lot of times you may not even be punished for not having enough merfolk in your deck in your merfolk deck, just because they're just good enough cards in the packs that you can kind of just cobble together whatever else you have to do.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of where in drafting, especially, it became kind of, I don't want to say boring, but the decisions weren't really that difficult, especially in original Ixalan. Rivals of Ixalan was a little different, mostly because they were so tribal centric that after you kind of like established, I'm going to go into this, it became really hard to pivot to something else. So all of a sudden you have X amount of people in your draft pool and they're kind of locked in. So you are getting all the stuff that you kind of need because everybody else is sticking with what they have. Again, unless you're the one who's unlucky and you're drafting fish and then you have 2 other people who are kind of trying to draft fish as well. and then all of a sudden the well runs dry.
Yeah, and actually, what's kind of funny is going back to that is, when I remember when I would draft triple Ixalan, and I'd go, oh sweet, I've got this bomb pirate, and I would take I'd take like a hostage taker or something, right? And then I'd open the next pack and there'd just be nothing, just no pirates, and I'd go, okay, well I'll just take this removal spell or whatever and pass, and then no pirate, no pirate, no pirate. Or you'd get like 3 or 4 pirates deep, and then all of a sudden they'd start drying up, and then it's like, well, what do I do now? And so with Rivals of Ixalan, it kind of has the backwards effect where like you'll go, oh sweet, I've got this bomb. I opened a Kumena, and then you'll go, oh sweet, I've got a River Darter. Oh sweet, I've got a Merfolk Mistbinder, and then just nothing will come, and unfortunately that can happen. And so in Ixalan, it was like, oh, I need to take every Merfolk. And then in Rivals, it was kind of like, should I take this Merfolk first? Because I don't want to get hosed and not have enough Merfolk. Because, like I said, Tribal was kind of backseat in Rivals of Ixalan, much more so than it was in Ixalan.
Correct.
So again, this is 2 packs of Rivals. So again, not quite as many Tribal synergies in those cards. But the big thing for this is just, to build a solid deck. So like as Matt said, every once in a while you'll just have the Merfolk, you'll have all the Merfolk cards, or you have all the dinosaur cards. And actually one of the things I wanted to bring up about draft in this set is actually, I think dinosaurs kind of got a little bit of a bump from Rivals of Ixalan. Because I think, number one, Rivals of Ixalan kind of slowed down the format a little bit. It kind of made it easier to go into like 3 colors instead of just 2 colors. And then like dinosaurs also kind of got the benefit of that because like there's lots of things with big butts, and you're able to,
and they cannot lie.
Of course not. And
they really can't.
But the thing was with when you have lots of low drop creatures that have huge toughness, you're able to spend time to ramp into big things.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. So one of the things I did want to bring up was this. So Ixalan, the mechanics behind it. So dinosaurs, their mechanic was raid. So I don't know if you guys remember what raid. I'm sorry, enrage. So whenever that dinosaurs dealt damage, it does something. The problem that we also had though was there weren't many like cards like a Tim in there that you could like ping and force the damage to go off, or it wasn't necessarily as easy. I mean, I think there was a few little things here or there. So it wasn't necessarily easy to get the enrage going, and unless you were really ramping hard, you could get outnumbered really quickly going into dinosaurs. That's one of the things I remember about with them. Is that when I was playing dinosaurs, because obviously dinosaurs, hell yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have these giant things and they all cost like 4 mana. And by the time I'm actually playing anything, my opponent has like 3 things out and a fistful of spells. So
yeah, and I mean they're just kind of were, like you said, the early dinosaurs, there weren't very many payoffs for having early dinosaurs because they all just kind of were like 3/1s or 2/2s.
They were all just big dumb dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were just dum-dums. And but I mean the early drops that we got in Rivals, we got Thunderherd Migration, which is a ramp spell that cares about dinosaurs. We got Thrashing Brontodon, which is a 3 mana 3/4.
It's just what is it?
Time card.
It's Ancient Stirrings essentially for dinosaurs.
Yeah. If you have a dinosaur, it's Ancient Stirrings for dinosaurs. And so there were just lots of cards that kind of made dinosaurs a little bit more able to hold their own. And even like early drops that you want, like Cursed Hatchling, like they gave you reasons to be in dinosaurs rather than just a body. And so I actually think for aggressive decks that has caused cards that grant evasion to be much more valuable than in regular Ixalan.
No, I can see that.
So the other thing that we got in Rivals of Ixalan was the Lords. So the cycle of Lords, there's one for vampires, there's one for Merfolk. I don't think dinosaurs had one, did they? I'm pulling up this.
Yeah, they had Haloti, the Planeswalker.
Oh, okay.
I think she was kind of closest to being the
Yeah.
Lord.
Well, there was one for pirates, and there was one for vampires, and there was one for merfolk, I believe. And then, as you said,
Correct.
the dinosaur planeswalker Hualti, something like that.
Yeah. Well, and they had that three-headed giant dinosaur thing.
Yeah,
I think was supposed to be kind of like the Lord. Was he in Rivals or was he in regular Ixalan? I
I
can't
believe that
remember.
was Ixalan. I've got the spoiler up. I'm looking through here.
No, he was in Rivals. It was Zakama, Primal Calamity.
Oh yeah, yep, that's it.
Yeah, he would yeah.
Yeah.
So he would have been more. I think he probably would have been more the Lord, which would make
Yeah.
sense.
Well, in any case, so there were strong tribal synergies, but they just you didn't have to be in them to have a solid draft deck, as opposed to in Ixalan where that was kind of mandatory. You had to be in Merfolk or dinosaurs or pirates to be anywhere.
Yeah, or vampires, which is probably the best
Yeah.
deck.
And so I actually one thing I did want to bring up before we move on to the sealed portion of our discussion is as I said, there were lots of ways that you could kind of go into a third or fourth color. So one thing is that treasure kind of mattered a little bit more. There were a few more things that you could
Yes.
do to generate treasure tokens, and that kind of gives you splashability. Number one. The other thing is explore was kind of a bigger thing. We had a Jade Light Ranger. There's the enchantment that makes it so that all creatures explore when they enter. But we also had Traveler's Amulet and Evolving Wilds in this set, as well as a
Yeah, no. I mean, it was really easy to get your mana.
and there was also a set of 5 dual lands, the Stone Quarry,
The Buddy Lands.
well, the Buddy Lands on top of that, but there was also just like Highland Lake, Foul Orchard, Forsaken Sanctuary. The comes into play tapped, and it taps for like white or black in the case of Forsaken Sanctuary. So there were dual lands at uncommon and rare, plus Evolving Wilds and all that, and so it just kind of allowed you to go into ridiculous things. One of LSV's favorite decks from Limited Resources was the Sailor of Means deck, and actually I drafted a few I've drafted a few Sailors of Means deck because Sailor of Means, and let me pull him up, is 2 and a blue for a 1/4 pirate, human pirate, and it says when Sailor of Means enters the battlefield, create a colorless artifact token with tap. Sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So like it's a blocker, it gives you a mana of any color, and it's just nonsense. And so like you can kind of splash into green ramp spells, black removal, it's a lot of fun to play with Sailor of Means.
Yeah. So one thing that I really remember from both draft and sealed we'll call it Rivals at this point, is there's not much removal and there's not much direct damage you can be doing. So I remember there being a lot of just giant bodies or swarming bodies smashing into one another.
Yeah, it was kind of like in Kaladesh when all the cars would smash into each other.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the things, and I know a lot of people did not like about this. Because if you think about it, all the Merfolk essentially had hexproof, so they couldn't be targeted anyway. The vampires all had lifelink, which was a little bit overpowered.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd say that there was like Bombard and there was Ravenous Chupacabra.
yeah.
There were
Not to say there wasn't anything, but I mean, there's compared to other sets, there really wasn't that much. I mean, because most sets have those like crappy removal spells or damage based spells that you're like that you open up in a pack when you're like not drafting or doing seals. Like, oh my god, why'd they even create this card? And then you do a draft or seal, it's like, oh, this is why this card exists. But those garbage removal spells just didn't exist, or not at least at the numbers that we normally see them.
I don't know. I mean, there was like Moment of Craving, Cleansing Ray. There was Water Knot. I think the blue pacifism. There was, I think, at least one removal spell at common or uncommon for each. Impale. So like there were some.
Yeah. There was like one at each color. and you're drafting, so you might get 1 or 2 removal spells for your deck.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think that I think there were more removal spells than you're giving it credit for. That's just my personal stance. You can crucify me for it later. All right, so let's go ahead and move on into the sealed. So now with sealed Rivals of Ixalan, this is 4 packs of Rivals of Ixalan and 2 packs of Ixalan, plus a seeded rare if you did a pre-release. If you didn't do a pre-release, it's just the 6 packs. What do you...
And sealed, you can kind of come with a little bit more of a strategy of what you want to play.
Yeah, it's
at least a little more than draft.
Yeah, so that like you said, you don't have to be choosy about the cards. You just have what you have, and you can see synergies a little bit easier than when you're rapidly passing cards. One thing that kind of is to Merfolk's deficit, or I guess Merfolk and even pirates and vampires in some senses, is that early drops and aggressive cards are not as good in sealed. Unfortunately, like that's just kind of a thing.
No.
And so it's like your 2 drops and your 3 drops don't matter quite as much as they did in a draft. And that's why cards like Sailor of Means and Glimmering Barrier and things like that just kind of have big butts or go up in value, because you can just kind of slow things down. And that's kind of where you want to be. You want to be taking your time to play out your cards and not playing out, a Jade Bear that's a 1-drop for a 1/1 that basically does nothing for the rest of the game.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Evasion also is so much more powerful in sealed.
Oh yeah, and that's also where I was going to go with this, is like if you were going to be doing like Merfolk or vampires, you definitely need to get into cards that grant evasion. So things like River Darter that can't be blocked by dinosaurs, Giltgrove Stalker that can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. There's lots of ways to give creatures flying, lots of ways to give creatures unblockable in this format. So those are great ways that if you are looking to be in an aggressive creature deck, that you can kind of get the edge on your opponents that are going to be a little bit slower.
Yeah, or like if anything, you can just add something to the deck that has flying that isn't necessarily a Merfolk, but it might, since you're playing sealed, you got to play with what you have. It might just be that enough of a outside of the tribe, but good enough where you can play it. Or a lot of the pirates had Menace, which again, 2 or more blockers in a sealed format is very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, that was also something like vampires or pirates had kind of more of Menace. Merfolk had unblockable, and then vampires generally tended towards flying.
Merfolk was more hexproof.
And there's a few unblockable or conditional unblockable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're right. It's you, and dinosaurs was also kind of flying and trample were kind of evenly spread on dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So you're kind of out of luck if you get if you get hit by like a Zakama or something like that, or a Zapalta, or basically any of the elder dinosaurs.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things. The dinosaurs themselves in a sealed pack, you don't really want to build a dinosaur deck necessarily, because too many things have to go right in your polls to build a real dinosaur deck. But having a top-end dinosaur as like a big finisher is not a bad thing. I mean, minus some of the elder dinosaurs that had like stupid high mana costs that you just would never play in a sealed format.
Well, I mean, honestly, Tetsamok is just fun to play. I mean, if that's the one that. It's the 6 mana 6/6 with Death Touch that you pay black to reveal it, and you put a prey counter on a creature. And so that's one that, I mean, honestly, I think you would play all of these if you.
So for example, Zakama's cool. It's a 9/9 Vigilance Reach Trample. If you play Zakama in the sealed format, you're gonna win the game. But Zakama's 9 mana. And it's red, green, white.
Yeah, no, I meant more the monocolor ones.
Okay, yeah, but you understand what I'm saying. Even the mono white one from Ixalan, the one that's double strike and indestructible, that big pterodactyl thing.
That's from Rivals.
That was like it's like. Is it from Rivals? But it's
Zatapa like Primal Dawn.
It's like 8 mana. Yeah, it's like 8 mana.
Yeah,
isn't
it's 6 white for a 4/8 with flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible.
Getting to 8 mana in a sealed or draft format is very difficult. You're usually only playing 16 lands.
In sealed, you can kind of get away with a little bit more, I'd say. And again, it also It also kind of depends if one of your colors is green. That's a really big. That's a really big discussion point because again, as we said in the draft section, there's a lot of treasure running around. There's lots of ways to generate treasure. And like, let's say we are in a blue-green Merfolk deck, right? I mean, how bad would it be to splash a few pirates that grant you a treasure token? And once you have like Evolving Wilds, you can kind of, and a few ramp spells with green, you can kind of, work in, maybe a removal spell in black or, things like of that nature that maybe you wouldn't necessarily have access to. And you'll have the time to do that because sealed's a lot slower than draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I remember from drafting this is the mythics. They were either insanely good or just completely unplayable due to converted mana cost. Like the Planeswalkers were okay. How do you say her name? Elinda, the Dusk Rose, and Kumena were good, but almost everything else was just not great. Well, on the mythic side,
Kumena and Elinda, with those two specifically, if you don't end up with, well, I guess Elinda doesn't matter as much. With Kumena, if you don't end up with enough Merfolk in your sealed pool, like this is kind of garbage, unfortunately.
Oh, he's unplayable. Yeah. I forgot. Rekindled Phoenix and Trap Draw Tyrant were in this format or in this set, and they were pretty good too.
And Polyraptor is good. There's just,
but it's 8 mana.
I'm just saying it's good. It's a good card. It'll end the game.
Yeah, I mean if you get to 8 mana and you can play it and you're not being swarmed out, then you're gonna win the game.
But you're right there.
But the chance of that happening is pretty low.
Oh yeah. So I mean, the thing is just in draft you can afford to be a little bit quicker. In sealed, you need to kind of play a little bit closer to the chest and not run out your things so quickly. One of the big things that I wanted to add for Rivals of Ixalan was Ascend. So now, did you ever have any huge Ascend cards, Matt, that when you played?
No, I don't ever remember getting Ascend as a big thing for me.
Well, I mean, so like, were there any times that what did you think about it before you played it?
Ascend, I thought it was going to be somewhat difficult in a sealed format, or a limited format to hit Ascend, and for the most part, I think I was right. Getting into 10 permanents in a limited environment is really difficult to do. Unless you're playing something that's very like token heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that honestly, it wasn't as hard to do as I thought it was. There were a couple times when because I did play a few drafts at my LGS with this set. I mean, with green, there's like Jungleborn Pioneer and a few other things that kind of help. But ramping is really big on that. But also treasure tokens help you get to Ascend very quickly. So like you just have to play like 2 or 3 cards that generate treasure tokens, and then like a Jungleborn Pioneer or a lot of the vampire cards that give you tokens, as well as things like
extra
aquatic
tokens,
incursion.
It was again, Ascend was a very situational type thing. Like you had to be in the right build and get the right Ascend card to make it work.
Yeah, so I mean, there's cards like Vona's Hunger, Kumena's Awakening, which is basically a Howling Mine. But it was a Howling Mine only for you if you had Ascend. So like there were very.
That's what I'm saying. I think I drafted like 2 or 3 times and did sealed at least once, maybe twice. Again, I would love to play an Ascend card, but it never came around that way.
Yeah, I mean, and basically, if somebody has Tender Shoot Dryad, they're very favored to win the game. That's the 4 and a green 2/2 with Ascend, and at the beginning of each upkeep, you get a 1/1 green Sapling with Sapling creature tokens, and Saplings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. So pumping out.
So ironically, that's just one of those funny cards that I don't think is being played in anything right now, but it's still like worth like $5.
I mean, it's fine in EDH. You just get a blocker every turn. You get.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's 100% an EDH card, and that's it. It just. But for a standard legal for a set, it's still in print, isn't it? I'm pretty sure Ixalan's still in print. for a standard legal set that's still in print, for a EDH card only to be $5 is more funny than anything.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna pick one up just for funsies for EDH, and I expected it to be like $1. And I'm like, what the hell is this? $5?
Yeah, and so the last thing I wanted to talk about with Rivals is there's a few cards that like are almost unplayable garbage in draft, but in sealed they actually kind of go up a little bit. So cards like Aquatic Incursion, which is 3 and a blue for an enchantment that says when Aquatic Incursion enters the battlefield, you create 2 1/1 blue Merfolk creatures with hexproof, and then it has an activated ability 3 and a blue. Target Merfolk can't be blocked this turn. I mean, that's something that you would just not play in a draft. You cannot take turn 4 off to make 2 1/1s.
No.
Just for them to get golden demised out. That's a feel bad moment if ever there was one. But just things like Pride of Conquerors, Secrets of the Golden City. There's a lot of cards that maybe just didn't quite make the cut, but are so much more valuable for the late game benefits that you get from it.
Yeah. So I think we've given both our opinions on how the limited format for Ixalan and Rivals were. I think we're fairly. I don't think we're on super opposite sides, but we have different experiences. I think. So my overall conclusion is I like Ixalan. I think it's a really cool set. I think they put a lot of time and it's really flavorful, but as a coherent by itself set, I don't think it's that great. I think has some amazing EDH stuff, and I think it has some great support stuff. And I think Ixalan is part of the reason why our current standard is so amazing right now. I mean, more so than Dominaria, which was a much more loved set. But again, by itself, it was fine.
Yeah, I think the power level was kind of on the lower end of recent sets, but I mean, that
absolutely.
kind of
that was probably intentional though, because considering we came from Kaladesh.
Yeah, that kind of helped to go into the new standard with things being a little bit more balanced. I mean, now in standard we're seeing a lot of control decks and a lot of like super heavy red aggro decks and a lot of blue green or blue black mid range rather. Sorry, excuse me. We've discussed on this podcast before. But it's one of those things that I think that having a sort of maybe not bland set because it's very flavorful from a story standpoint, but kind of bland from like a power standpoint. Kind of helped set the stage for what's going on in standard and to make things not so, crazy expensive and also make the games kind of realistic for people to get into. Like you're not having to shell out $500 for a good enough standard deck.
No, absolutely. But again, talking limited, my experiences were even experienced players. It just felt so much more random because you either had all the synergy or you didn't. And again, in draft, it's a little bit more, but the problem is that you could just be bad luck. You could all of a sudden realize, oh crap, Johnny over there is drafting into this what synergy I'm trying to do. So now my deck is incredibly watered down compared to the guy who was going for pirates and he got all the pirate stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, even Reed Duke, I think he did really well with the draft deck that he had like 4 River Darters in it.
River Darter is an amazing card.
It's a 2/3 that can't be blocked by dinosaurs. So, all right. So
we're running out of time. We did go on. Actually, I think it's the Mothership's website, and we found a few Merfolk decks for draft that went 3-0 at the Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan. I think we were going to go over those real quick just to kind of give you an idea of what you should be looking for if you're going to draft Merfolk. Is that correct?
Yeah, let's
Kody?
do it.
Or am I full of crap? Okay, awesome. So we're going to run through this real quick because I know there's a lot of commons and uncommons that people aren't going to know. So, for example, this is a John Stern did a blue-green deck. And again, it was more of a Merfolk deck, but there's going to be other stuff in there. 1 Stormfleet Aerialist, which was a pirate. It was a 1 blue and 1 for a 1/2 flyer with raid where you could put counters on them. A Storm Sculptor, which was a Merfolk Wizard. that can't be blocked. But when he enters the battlefield, you have to return your creature control your owner's hand. Deep Water Warrior. He gets a 1/1 to the end of turn if he becomes blocked. He's Merfolk. Kumina Speaker, which we've talked about many times on the show, but not today. Just an absolutely amazing card. Merfolk Branchwalker. Ravenous Daggertooth, which is just a big dumb dinosaur, kind of like I was talking about before. Shapers of Nature, which is again another Merfolk that you can put 1/1 counters on other things, or you could take 1/1 counters off and draw cards. Deadeye Righauler, pirate. I'm not gonna go over him. Mistcloak Herald, which is 1 blue for a 1/1. It can't be blocked, and it's actually seen a lot of standard play right now. Gilt Grove Stalker, 2/1. That can't be blocked with creatures with power 2 or less. Again, I think you guys are seeing where he was going with his deck. A lot of Merfolk can't be blocked, and 1/1 counters. 1 Jade Bearer, 1 Jadecraft Artisan, 2 Jungleborn Pioneers that make the tokens. That was one of the ones you were just talking about, Kody, I believe. Hunt the Weak. So he was playing 19 creatures, and he only plays 4 non-creature spells, which was Hunt the Weak, which is put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then that creature fights another creature you don't control. Then he played 2 Rivers Herald Boons, which again is just more 1/1 counters, and Aggressive Urge, which is target creature gets +1/+1 and draw a card. So that's kind of where you would be going if you were trying to get into Merfolk.
And again, that was not purely Merfolk. That was mostly Merfolk with just some other
with some dinosaurs.
Yeah, with some dinosaurs and pirates, because that's what you do in the set.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I mean, if you want to, I don't want to run through a ton of decks because it's gonna be kind of boring for me just to list off a bunch of random commons and uncommons. But if you kind of go online and look at the motherships, all the drafters and the decks they were pulling, most of the Merfolk decks are gonna be very similar because again, you're gonna be seeing the commons and uncommons a lot more than the rares. So those are the ones you're gonna be seeing people are stocking up on. So again, Jade Bearer is just kind of a staple if you're going to be playing that kind of a deck. You're going to have multiple copies. Same thing, that Gilt Grove Stalker, you're going to have multiple copies. Jadecraft Artisan, you're going to have multiple copies. And then hopefully you just pull one of the just kind of bomb Merfolk rares, or at least hopefully some Merfolk Mistbinders and some of those the one that I was just talking about that was awesome. Deep Root Warriors. No, not Deep Root Warrior.
Elite.
Oh crap, you're going to have Deep Root Elite. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, there have been times where Merfolk has done fairly okay in drafts for pros even. So make sure to go check out those deck lists. Do you have anything that you want to add to this? I mean, we still have a few more days of these drafts online, so I could see you jumping in at a few more.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go and probably actually do a draft tonight, to be completely honest. After we get off, I'm going to hop on, do a draft, and I will report back next week how I felt. I'll see if my original issues with it are still valid or not.
All right, awesome. So before we go, I do want to add one more thing. So one of our listeners, Alex Kahn, he tweeted to us, to both myself and us and Nikachu, basically talking to us about how he did at SCG COL, which I believe is SCG COL, is that Columbus? SCG Columbus? I think that's the one this weekend.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
And so he went 6-3 in a Modern Classic with Mono Blue Merfolk. So he got 48th place. So congrats to Alex for grinding the SCG. I think Nick Chu even said that he's the guy who plays at SCG tournaments with most consistency for Merfolk. So he's kind of our SCG boots on ground guy. So congrats to Alex. Keep grinding away, man. We're all rooting for you. Keep up.
I appreciate that, especially with Modern where it is right now. I think Modern's in a really ugly place, and we're going to probably see some. I hope we're going to see some big changes.
They need to ban
soon.
Creeping Chill. Ugh, that card is just bonkers bananas good.
They need to ban a lot of cards.
They need to ban a lot of cards, but they shouldn't ban a lot of cards.
Yeah, they need to ban a lot of cards, or they should just kind of give up on Modern and just kind of start their new Eternal format and say Modern is just degenerate Legacy. Legacy is not as degenerate as Modern is right now. Let's just put it that way.
I have a lot more fun playing Legacy than I do playing Modern.
I think Legacy, yeah, my Legacy is head over heels better than Modern right now. But that's a topic for another day.
So make sure to check out our most recent Legacy content on YouTube at youtube.com/fishcastmtg. You could also watch it.
Yeah, Kody is one of the only ones out there doing consistent Merfolk Legacy right now. So you guys should go out and support that.
Well, that and Tuxdev, he plays weekly. I think I stream Legacy every other week or so. But yeah, so yeah, come by.
Cody's too nice of a guy. I'm trying to get you to just go watch him. He's like, nah. Check out this other guy.
So check us out every Saturday at 9 p.m. CST.
You're like the Mr. Rogers of Merfolk players.
The Mr. Rogers of Merfolk players. Okay, well, I'll have to pick out a cardigan and some slippers for the next event that I go to.
He doesn't wear slippers. He has outside shoes and inside shoes.
Well, excuse me. But remember that you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook is at FishcastMTG. Personally, I'm on Twitter as at @NotCodySmith. Where can we find you, sir?
I'm at Matthew Caudill8.
If you have a longer form question, feel free to email us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and our logo /stream art /playmat art / pretty much everything else was done by Ishton on Twitter. So go check out Ishton's account because there's a lot of great stuff on there. They're just such a great artist, and yeah, just go check them out.
Oh, and by the way, we can do direct challenges on Arena now. So hit us up on Twitter if you want to play.
Yeah, we'll definitely, if I'm playing, yeah, definitely I'll jump in for a game.
I usually get on for about an hour a night, so hit me up.
Yeah, definitely. And if you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us on Patreon at patreon.com/fishcastmtg. Believe me, every dollar that you guys put into us goes back into the show and helps out tremendously. So thank you to all of our supporters who have helped us out.
The show's only being supported about 25% by Patreon. Everything else is by us out of pocket. We do this for the love of it, not for the money. I learned very quickly that my Diamond Grill is not going to be coming anytime soon.
Yeah, he got really disappointed over Christmas when I was like, oh yeah, we made this much. And he was like, well, how much did this cost? I was like, well, this cost X dollars and our hosting cost $55. And he was like, oh, so like all of this has to go into the show. And I was like, yeah. So yes.
So I made negative money this year?
on Fishin and Merfolk Podcast, yes, we did come out a little negative. But thank you to all of our supporters. You guys have been great, and continue to look out for stuff on Patreon because we are coming out with new patron rewards here soon. So we will all see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.